Hi, Bothered Brigade. Here's what's bothering me today. We have to talk about the Freedom Convoy again. So, for a couple of reasons, namely about what they apparently did last night at an event in the nation's capital of Ottawa that I wasn't even made aware of. So that kind of tells you where they are right now in terms of national significance and importance, but also just that they are still like an annoying little thorn in everyone's side, constantly trying to, get attention and just do heinously awful, terrible, disrespectful things. So that's what we're going to eventually build up to. Ostensibly, right? The people in the Freedom Convoy claim to be about freedom, right? And they want freedom for Canada because they're true Canadian patriots standing up for the freedom of their fellow Canadian patriots, right? And in fact, many of them were so incensed at how those poor veterans and occupiers, freedom fighters, were like moved away from the National War Memorial when the police were finally clearing out all those occupiers back in February. And so they needed that Operation Rolling Thunder, right? In late April, they had that to, restore dignity to the National War Memorial, right? Which, again, see my previous videos in the whole Freedom Convoy playlist about how they showed no respect for the War Memorial while they were there, right? But it got so much worse, and it also got way worse last night. So, for starters, right, to remind people, unfortunately, about that terrible, awful day, here's something that unironically happened when the Rolling Thunder, event was going on all weekend long back in April. Those are self-professed Canadian patriots, waving, as you can clearly see, even though it's very pixelated, and I apologize, they're waving Canadian flags, and yet they're shouting and chanting, USA, USA, USA. Oh my God. Because, true Canadian patriots chant USA to show their patriotism. And I've already made, again, several videos kind of touching on that and how it wasn't really about the veterans or respect or anything like that. Just, watch the playlist, see the videos. But there was something else that happened on Canada Day. Remember, these are Canadian patriots, right? They love this country. That's why they're fighting so hard for its freedom, which it's severely lacking. And so on Canada Day, the big day with all the Canadian flags and the Canadian national anthem and all that stuff, here's what was going on at the Renfrew camp for that, Brian Top Guy or whoever, who was marching and walking across Canada to finally make it to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier to, reconsecrate the hallowed ground, right? This is what was going on in Renfrew, Ontario.
So as we raise the flag, let's give ourselves a moment of silence.
Because nothing screams Canadian patriot like playing the American national anthem, raising the American goddamn flag, and asking for a moment of silence for this whole obscene spectacle on what's supposed to be the national holiday of the country you pretend to care about and love and support and are fighting for the freedom of. Now, again, I want to remind people that Brian Topper, whatever his name is, he was marching from like the West Coast all the way to Ottawa, and I think raising money along the way. And people were like, oh, look at this poor former veteran. So here we need to talk about a few things. There's such a thing known as honorable discharge from the military and dishonorable discharge. Honorable discharge is, you know what? You came in, you did your duty, even won a few medals along the way, more than likely. Thank you for your service. Bye-bye. Here's your pension. Dishonorable discharge is you fucked up and you need to leave. Top was dishonorably discharged. So that's something that wasn't really making the rounds of, you know, the Chud channels. On top of that, right, it just became this whole grotesque spectacle of, you know, oh, and touching the tomb of the unknown soldier. And it was this whole, you know, like played up kind of thing of him like, you know, oh, it's so sad. And it's like, having been to a few, you know, Remembrance Day ceremonies, they're very solemn affairs without much spectacle, because you're meant to sit with the weight and the gravity of the emotion of recognizing, not just in the case of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, but at any memorial, be it across Canada or, you know, overseas in the graveyards of Europe, you're supposed to sit and recognize that these poor souls who are buried, many of whom unidentifiably so because they were so mangled by battle and war, that they ultimately died, perhaps even for a cause that maybe wasn't even great, like World War I, completely unnecessary. It was a European pissing match. But unfortunately, millions of people had to die for it, and millions of people had to die for freedom in World War II. Like, you're supposed to sit with the discomfort of dead people, perhaps younger than you, or maybe a bit older than you, or your exact same age. You're supposed to sit with that discomfort and that disquiet, and honor and remember the dead who can no longer be here with us today because of the whims and machinations of sociopathic rulers and leaders. It's not supposed to be a big spectacle. It's not supposed to be about an individual. It is a period of mourning, and he made it spectacle. But again, it got so much worse recently. So now this finally brings us to the event that I was told about that happened just this weekend. See, apparently every weekend these chuds keep going into Ottawa and like whatever, they're marching around or they're having little events in various other little corners of the city. And what they did last night, again, I remind you, these are proud Canadian patriots. They held a ceremony where they draped the tomb of the unknown soldier in an American flag. I remind you that, yes, the unknown soldier, we're pretty sure, is Canadian. And they fought as part of the Canadian Army in World War I. They didn't fight for America. And so putting the American flag on the tomb of the unknown soldier at the Canadian National War Memorial not only is hugely disrespectful, it also feels borderline sacrilegious. But remember, folks, these are real, true, honest to God, salt of the earth, true Canadian patriots. That's why they're waving Canadian flags and chanting USA in the streets for the biker rally that also just had people sitting on the frickin' edge of the tomb, by the way. You know, that's so respectful, right? Sitting and, you know, occupying the National War Memorial. Very respectful, right? And then it's also very respectful and a sign of your Canadian patriotism to listen to the American national anthem and then have a moment of silence and then clap afterwards as the American flag is raised on Canada's national holiday. And then also, these are Canadian patriots while they are draping the tomb of the unknown soldier. Unknown because their body was so mangled by war, by the way. And they are draping it in the American flag. And these people have the fucking audacity to call themselves Canadian patriots fighting for freedom. Get the fuck out of here. This is absolutely ridiculous, disrespectful, shameful. And the fact that anyone either still supports these people or thinks that any of these instances that they've clearly done with evidence is in any way okay is absolutely what's bothering me today.